And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Rolling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. It's orange!
Orange 25! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. What is it? Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go. Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting with the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our newest episode of Countdown to Launch, the show where we make sure you are well equipped to watch the next flight of Starship, which might be coming up in 2 days from now. That's a topic for today's show, where we will make sure we equip you with all the tools that you need to understand, hey, where are we right now, and what's going on, and, well, will Starship launch on Thursday? And I see a lot of 5x5s in chat, which is good. We will also, and I can already tease you that, try to give you a weather update today. And we'll have some guests for that. I'm teasing a bit here. And we'll make sure that you leave the show well more informed than you joined it. Speaking of people joining the show, I will start to introduce my very competent guests today, starting with Mr. Alejandro Alcantarilla Romero. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm nervous. I don't know what I'm gonna do if we see again something like this. It's gonna be amazing, and also, boy, I'm not prepared. I'm not ready. I'm not always ready for a Starship launch, both mentally and all of the work that we need to do. Right? I'm still super nervous, and so I need to be in the mindset that yes, we're hopefully within 48 hours of a Starship launch once again. Cross our fingers. We'll see that very soon.
Absolutely. And I'm also asking you, Trevor. Trevor, how ready are you feeling for Starship?
You know, it's crazy that we're here again. The last launch simultaneously feels so long ago and like yesterday. So I just am so excited to, for once, not see a Falcon launch and see the SpaceX steamroller just keep going. And I mean, look behind me. This is like SpaceX just constantly busy. Right now they're bringing 2 fairing halves back on fleet cam while preparing Starship for launch, while they have another Starlink launch tomorrow. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And speaking of being busy, I want to throw it to our Starbase cameras, because we know, we talked yesterday about Ship 29 and it being like probably being removed and everything. Well, I am stalling a bit while we are going to that. There we go. There comes Ship 29. Actually, there it goes. Ship 29 was removed from the launch site and is already on its way to the production site to get out of there, to word it like that, because it's probably not wanted to stay at that launch site in the next few days. So, Trevor, kind of expected, right?
Yeah, this is what we were talking about on both streams yesterday when they did the spin prime of Ship 29 and then later on Countdown to Launch. We were wondering, like, do we think SpaceX is going to keep it at the launch site? We were kind of wondering, will they try to take, there were road closures today, would they try to take advantage of those to conduct a static fire test? And yesterday, around this time, we started seeing indications that they were preparing to roll back to production site. And then here it is right now rolling back to production site. So this was pretty expected. SpaceX did get what seems to have been a successful spin prime test of all 6 engines. And I think they just want to ensure that this vehicle is not damaged during IFT 3.
Alex, do you have the feeling that they tried to get to all the way to static fire and just like had a little bit too little time here?
Yeah, it probably got a bit Yeah, it did seem like they started last week with that testing, right? They had an abort there on that spin prime test on Thursday, but fortunately, at least they got that on Monday. But obviously, it doesn't seem like they have a lot more time to be able to, to go over with that. Um, I should say probably along these same lines. I know a lot of people are already talking about that on chat. Elon has mentioned that Flight 3 end of week, he's calling it. I don't really know what that means exactly, whether that means Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday, right? One could take so many different meanings out of that because it's very general, but good to know. They're on track, hopefully pending that weather as he mentions. So, um, that being said, even though they may have a few more days, given this tweet by Elon, it's still safe to at least remove ship 29 and central efforts around the full stack flight that is currently ongoing right now. In the future we'll have multiple launches out of a Starbase, multiple process, basically full stack processings ongoing at the same time, pretty much like we see right now with the Falcon 9. The only difference is that Falcon 9 is already very mature. They have multiple teams working on these rockets, so and they can do that in parallel. Right now, I don't think they have multiple teams in terms of multiple launch teams and multiple people in different locations that can work on this. But in the future, with two Starship launch towers and two launch pads essentially there, that'll be a sight to see. And it's not this time now that we see a full stack with a ship nearby or another full stack nearby, but in the future that'll be much more common. So definitely a good thing to bring it back to the barn, as one will say, right, and keep it out of dodge for that flight.
And of course, again, we couldn't have planned it better. I think with the fact that the whole pending weather part, we can help to answer it with this show. So I'm kind of happy right now that we have this glorious segue from Elon Musk here. Thank you for that. But let's talk about the overall hardware state of the launch. Trevor, does it look like SpaceX is working on any hardware items still with Starship?
Yeah, not really. And like Elon's tweet says, it seems like right now the two big things that they're waiting on are weather and launch approval. And Elon's wording of highlighting that weather is the watch item, certainly to
Quickly,
me,
quickly,
seems to highlight.
I have to quickly step in here because this is a quick moment. Here you have
Hi,
our team
Nas.
live tracking ship 29 while it passes. You can see they're still working out there while we do this show. Sorry, Trevor, I didn't want to interrupt you there, but that was a short window to talk about this.
No, all good. Yeah, we hopefully Elon's tweet not mentioning regulatory approval shows that regulatory approval is expected to be ready for Thursday. That goes along with Joey Roulette earlier posted on X saying that a source is indicating to him that the launch license will be ready for Thursday. So everything seems to be lining up, aside from weather, which, like Adrian said, we'll talk more about later. But they have not been doing like any work on the vehicle. They removed the more scaffolding from around the base yesterday. All of the scaffolding and work platforms from around the ship QD is gone. The FTS has been closed out on both vehicles, so things are looking great. And now we just have to hope that weather cooperates. We get good views for whenever they decide to go for launch. And I will just quickly bring up, Elon just posted something else on X saying, responding to Eric Berger, that this will hopefully be the first, or hopefully there'll be 6 more flights of Starship this year, which seems very optimistic to me, but worth noting that he posted that.
Well, I think the 6 are way more like that would be 7. I think 7 is way closer to where I would say that's realistic than the 9 we had at some point. So it's like, if you told me like 6 or 7, I would be like, yeah, I could see a path to that. I think everybody does, oh, look, more camera sets of us. We're getting a live 2 here. You can already see the team deploying everything there. as I want to quickly shout out here. They're people of us in the field, like for the last few days, especially of course Das, that you just saw the thumbs up here from, that are just working constantly to get everything of these camera sites ready, making sure we bring you the best views on our launch stream. So really, really cool, and awesome that they at least get to see a ship driving by while they are working here. I mean, that ship just drove by them for like a few meters away. So that's a cool bonus, I guess. Yeah, but like overall, it really seems like this more realistic window with 7 instead of 9. I think I'm if I had to put it to a number, I would say 5 to 6, somewhere in that range. So 7. If you
even 6 feels like a lot to me. I think they'll reach 5 this year, if not 4. But more than that seems like it would be really tight.
Absolutely, and there's the shuttle tanker. Of course, we are tracking the shuttle tanker.
Shuttle! Put auto track on that.
Yeah, we are just mentioned that this is the first time one of our cameras is tracking shuttle, you could say. So there we go. Well, that's not true. We had a shuttle lift, so I will correct myself there before somebody else does it. I said it first. Let me thank some people here with that already supported us here, starting with RC Horseman, as always, with 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much, RC Horseman. Astro Joe with a Red Team membership. Musical Wolves with the $1.99 super chat and asking how much bacon is needed for a launch license. I'm not sure if the FAA is okay with bribing them with bacon. I'm not sure if that's like a common bribe. It's probably not working. Vicky Racer with the 10 Red Team memberships gifted. Thank you so much, Vicky. I hope everybody that just received that said some thanks. Lost in Space with the $10 super chat with a question. I will throw to Alex. Is there still time to get the license approved for Thursday?
Well, there's time as long as they essentially issue the modified launch license before liftoff. Obviously, there's time. Now, how much is that time? It's not a lot, right? We all know there's not a lot on the working hours today. It's already some time in the afternoon. I cannot really actually do the mental math right now, but precisely, there's not a lot of time remaining on today, and then also we have tomorrow. They could, in theory, issue it tomorrow and then launch on Thursday. That will not be really an impediment. Like, how close to the launch is going to happen, because the rocket is pretty much ready to go, right? The only thing will be checking the weather, which, as we mentioned before, that seems to be a watch item from what Elon mentioned. So that's probably something in the back of their minds at SpaceX. But also the paperwork side, that paperwork, if it comes by tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, they could still launch on Thursday, no problem. Again, at that point, the only other thing will be whether the vehicles are all ready to go and their software is not doing any sort of weird stuff or anything like it, right? And then obviously the weather and other stuff as well. One thing that I will mention, though, with Elon mentioning a potential slip to the end of the week, it does allow the FAA to be able to complete that license, and so that means that at least they have some leeway. Like if the launch license comes out on Thursday, it's like, okay, well, they can launch on Thursday either way, because there seems to be problems with the weather apparently from what Elon said. So at least that kind of gives them some breathing room as well to be able to push this out the door. Again, I think Trevor was mentioning this yesterday on the last Countdown to Launch live stream, that if there's any sort of delays paperwork wise, it's not going to be measured in weeks. It's going to be measured in days, most likely, and probably like single digit days, maybe no more than 5, I will say.
Yeah, and it's probably worth.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it's probably worth highlighting that Elon used the term end of week, which doesn't necessarily preclude Thursday. SpaceX's website still says that they are targeting as soon as March 14th, which is Thursday for launch. So we'll have to, when we get Adam on later to talk about weather, I think that's going to be the main topic of conversation, both here and at SpaceX. But the 14th is not ruled out yet, to make that clear.
Yeah, it feels like the situation where there's this narrow path where or like at least decently sized path, but where we totally can get a Thursday launch. However, I think it's also like everybody that watched the Starship. I mean, if you're not prepared for delays, why are you watching Starship? And second, I think everybody should be prepared. This might change. Like I think there's it's a very healthy approach to this Thursday, that you just take the Thursday as it would be cool if we get to Thursday, but it's as cool as we get Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, and also,
go ahead, Alex.
Go ahead. Well,
No,
I was just gonna mention quickly that even with Falcon 9, it also happens sometimes, right? That they set up a launch target, even for a Starlink mission, right? And then it delays either within the window or it delays 24 hours to the next day. This is a very common thing in rocketry, where either the weather doesn't play out, the paperwork doesn't play out, the readiness of the vehicle doesn't play out. Like even when you have your rocket stacked on the pad and ready to go, then you start, switching things up and powering it up and cycling valves and stuff like that. And then, oops, there's something stuck and things like that. Like for the first attempt of the first flight, we had very late into that countdown, we had a scrub precisely because they found out that one of the valves were basically had frozen ice on them, and so it couldn't move and they couldn't pressurize the booster properly. And so things like that can just get discovered as they go into the countdown, and they might call off the launch as well. So it's not just the paperwork side, and this happens with even well proven rockets as Falcon 9, and in that case, well flight proven rockets.
And one other thing to add on to the answer to that question is, our understanding is that without a launch license, SpaceX is able to do every single launch day operation up to but not including ignition of the engines. So if SpaceX really wanted to, if the launch license doesn't come out Wednesday evening, but they wanted, and they had maybe thought that they were going to get it on Thursday early in the morning or whatever, they could start all of the launch preparations and then go up until T-minus 1 minute or T-minus 40 seconds, wherever their hold point is. And then once they're there, if they don't have it, they could hold until if they think they're going to get it really shortly. And if they don't end up getting it, then just scrub the launch for the day, in which case they basically just had a successful wet dress rehearsal. So they're still able to do some testing on Thursday if they really wanted to without the launch license.
Absolutely, and I think that's also the likely scenario. I think the likely scenario on Thursday is, even if they don't receive the license, I could see them turning it into a wet dress and just get this additional part in, if they have at least a small chance to get the license in time. If they, of course, get the heads up from the FAA on Wednesday, hey, by the way, it's not going to be ready for Thursday. I think they would save on that, because we get a lot of questions of that, and I will just ask this in general to Alex here. If they go for Thursday and they get into propellant loading, we do not expect that they would be ready again on Friday, right?
Yeah, so that would be a very interesting thing to be able to ask a SpaceX, because now they have changed the tank form a bit, right? They have now this faster propellant load sequence, so perhaps they don't really have a lot of the hang on now. Sorry, I was hearing myself in the background, so I oh, hi Das. And so now they can load this propellant faster, and so maybe that means that it doesn't really boil off as much because you're not having it being used for long. So at the very least, perhaps a 24-hour turnaround might not be possible once you start the propellant load sequence, especially from the liquid nitrogen side of things, because you need to load those subcoolers. There's now more subcoolers, by the way, so it's more liquid nitrogen that you're heating up as well, because you're using it a lot to be able to subcool the propellants, to be able to chill down all of the infrastructure at the tank farm. So just from the liquid nitrogen side of things, they use a lot of that to be able to proceed into these operations, the tanking operations and things like that. So just thinking about that, at the very least a 24-hour turnaround. I'm mostly sure they cannot do, but in that case, it will be like Saturday, maybe like 48 hours instead. And for flight 1, for example, when they had that scrub lit into the window, like really with a full rocket already loaded, they couldn't even do 48 hours and they did 72 hours. I still think that that was probably because that allowed them to launch on 420. Maybe that was probably the side reason for that. We'll see. We'll never know.
There's a non-zero chance that there was some shenanigans going on that it launched on 420.
Yeah.
If somebody would ask me, would you rule that out? I would say, no. Actually, I cannot rule that out successfully. So, yeah, there we go. I want to give a huge thanks to RC Horseman here with a $200 tip. Thanks to all of NSF. I wish I could be there, but this is the next best thing to being there in person. Thank you, RC Horseman, and we will make sure that you feel as you would be there on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever it happens. And this is a huge amount of support. Thank you so much. And I mean, to be fair, yes, you don't get the sound and everything but I would say you get like more views when you watch it on a stream versus watching it live, because watching it live is like you're at least 5 miles away, or like 4 miles. So all you see is the distant view.
Well.
So yeah, so here you get the close-ups. So I would call this a win. Thank you so much. Let me quickly check something here, but I believe we are.
I can probably hit another thing just in the same sense of the windows and things like that we're talking about. If this actually goes into the weekend, be careful, because the window on Saturday and Sunday is different than the windows for essentially Thursday, Friday, and Monday. So basically all the way around to the next week. On Thursday and Friday and Monday on the 18th, basically, so 14th, 15th, and 18th, the launch window goes from 7 a.m. Central to 9 a.m. Central, 2 hours essentially. So 2 hours for those on UTC or wanting to, calculate their own offset. That will be noon UTC, 1200 UTC, 2 hours from that. That is the start of the window, 2 hour launch window. But for Saturday and Sunday on the 16th and the 17th, the window is only 30 minutes at the very least, like as much as perhaps 30 minutes, maybe less than 30 minutes. That is at least what the all of the notices to our missions, to mariners, all of these different notices suggest. And so it will be a 30-minute window instead of a 2-hour window. Now we know that it's not an impediment to fly Starship, right? The second launch happened 2 minutes into a 20-minute window, so it's not really a big deal. But just to keep everyone, just in case that happens, at least you are aware of what are the windows for that. On Saturday and Sunday the start will be the same time of the day, 7 a.m. Central, 1200 UTC, noon UTC essentially. So that will be sort of, but it's just the length. It goes from 2 hours to about 30 minutes, perhaps a bit less.
There we go. And I want to now throw to the field here, because apparently we have some words from the field. So let's listen into Das and everybody there right now getting cameras ready.
I'm live. Why would they do that? Folks, if you're just joining us, Das here on the side of Highway 4. Traffic is killer today. It looks like SpaceX was trying to get a ship out of the way, Ship 29, evacuating the launch site in preparation, sorry for the camera work, for the launch of Flight 3 coming up here. I am out here in the field. I'm not going to try to point the camera at you. How about I just give you a thumbs up pointed halfway at the ground? Man, I'm out of practice. It's been too long since I've done this. But as you can see, traffic is backed up. Well, at least that far. It's not backed up that far anymore because they're just getting to me. But this is the public convoy, and I guess that's a SpaceX lift there too. When it drove past me, it said the suborbital pad on the side of it, so they're evacuating that from the suborbital pad as well. And the ship was there. The 2-point lifter just went by. I'm sure y'all already know that because folks have been watching the Countdown to Launch stream or Starbase Live, whichever one it is. But I figured I would give y'all a little bit of a tour behind the scenes really quickly. Hey, let's try this real quick. Zoom the camera all the way out. Step 1. All right, flip the lens around. All right, hey, can y'all see me? I think you can see me. That dude with his dirt bike he's riding up and down the road. I don't know if he works there or what. Anyways, somebody can tell me in my headset if y'all can't see me right now. But there's always a ton of work to do out here to get ready. Like the road closures, that is always happening. And we were over here on our highway site during the road closure. They clear everybody off to the side of the road. You can't sit on the side of the road here. But you working on the solar panels and all the wiring and stuff that we need to do. Sean's setting up some camera. Daniel's doing some wiring over at highway. But we've promised a behind-the-scenes view of the sites so many times, and I figured I would bring that to you today as part of... That's a dump truck. Don't know if y'all can hear it. It's loud to me, but I've got a nice little see my lav mic there? And my shop.NASASpaceflight.com. You actually in the shop. The only way to get those little NSF flag patches is to find somebody out here. So if you're walking around and you see one of the NSFers, we probably have an entire pocket filled with these patches. Ask for one if you're out here at Starbase. So anyways, can somebody please tell me on comms that everything's working and I'm not just talking to nothing? I'd love to hear from somebody real quick. We'll have to see if they can actually answer me.
The video seems to at least not be...
Okay, it's because I walked over behind the... It's the trucks. I keep walking over behind the trucks and I'm not on the tower. I'm just wearing this backpack right now. So what I can do is come over here and the signal should be better. Hi, Mars. Hi. Well, not like a hi Mars. Different type of hi Mars. That's highway. That's a Sean cam. That's another Sean cam right there. Good grief. We'll come back to that. If I come back over... You cannot see the visuals anymore? How about now? You know, I'm just going to turn on the real-time communication because I was walking around the backside here. Alrighty, well... This is what I was saying about going to the wrong side of the videos. How about I just make it so I can talk over here and y'all can hear me and you can provide me this information in real time. So, should I proceed with this? Has my signal gotten better now that I got to the other side of the site? You know something? I'm just going to act like it's all working. Anyways, we are over here at our highway site. We have a lot of stuff going on at the highway site. You can see that Daniel is working very hard. Right here, this is Daniel, he waved. Sean, on the other hand, hardly working. Hey, what? That's a colorful chair. You might get up and actually act like you're doing something. Daniel is wiring some of... What? No, don't open that. You're going to break something. Actually, don't touch anything, Sean.
Don't touch anything.
But just don't touch it. Don't go over there. We need that generator later. Sit down. Put your hands in your lap. I'm kidding. Daniel is actually working on power wiring in our client box. We have two...
Okay, I think the signal is a bit of a problem here, but...
Yeah.
But, hey, you get at least something here. It's always challenging in Boca Chica with the signal. So, there we go. That's all we could show you here. Maybe we'll do that once again a bit later. Yeah. There's always a chance with all the cars and everything that you have a bit of a signal issue. But either way, that's what we can give you in behind the scenes right now. Let's get it back into question here. That's an interesting one, Trevor, here from Xenoth. Why would the FAA not grant a license in time while the flight is scheduled in the FAA's agenda?
So those are different teams. The FAA just needs to go through this launch license and make sure that SpaceX has met all of the 17 corrective actions to a satisfactory extent. And then on top of that, SpaceX will have gathered data from wet dress rehearsal and some of the other tests that they've completed. and they just want to make sure that all of that data looks good. So the FAA's job is to make sure that the public is as safe as possible, and that takes time. So I know the FAA on some, parts of their site say that that is Friday, but that's just the net date. The big watch item is from a completely different team that the people who update the website also probably have very little insight into. So this is just the FAA doing their job.
Yeah,
go.
and it is also worth noting that, as you were mentioning, it's different parts. These different parts, they need to plan as if the launch was actually going to happen. Because if they don't plan for it, and the launch license actually comes through, and they don't have a plan, then that is not good to do that, right? It will be very bad if the launch day comes and your plans don't work, right? And so they obviously need to plan for it, and if it doesn't happen, cool, okay, whatever. But if it does happen, they have a plan for it. They already have it there on their schedule, and they can plan ahead for these in case it actually happens. But it doesn't really say, oh yeah, we're giving them the launch license on time. It just says we're planning for this in the eventuality that it actually comes through before the launch happens and SpaceX can indeed launch. The same thing you could say, for example, for weather. Why would you put it if the weather is bad? Well, just in case. If it can actually launch, then we have already this planned ahead.
Yeah, imagine if we at NSF would just start preparing once we get the confirmation that it's really on Thursday. That would be really bad.
Yeah, right?
just like, no, they still have not said it's 100% Thursday. We are not preparing yet. That would be and not really optimal. Let's just say it like that. Let me thank some more. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just gonna make one of my long rants. Go ahead. Don't need that.
I will quickly thank some people here, starting with Homebound Traveler becoming a Pad Red member. Thank you so much. Alex Gomez becoming a Pad Red member. Lost in Space gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Blushy Boy gifting a Red Team membership. Thank you also so much. Mayflower becoming a flight engineer. That's a lot of support. Thank you so much, Mayflower. Flight engineer is our highest tier of support, so that really helps us. And I hope you enjoy the perks. And again, thanks you for all the support. Ryan Hamster with a $4.99 super chat. You guys still using Michael Baylor's AutoTrack software? Yes, we do. Linux Fox with $9.76 super chat. When the initial booster landing starts, what do you think they will do to protect the launch tower? Or will they just sacrifice it? Trevor, will there be any additional reinforcement?
I don't think so. It seems unlikely to me. At that point, the amount of fuel in the vehicle is quite small, so that any explosions that you would get, I don't think would really damage the tower or the surrounding area that much. The bigger problem would just be if you hit the chopsticks kind of hard, I feel like you could pretty easily tear them off. In which case, I wouldn't be surprised if SpaceX has some spare parts for those lying around. But honestly, I'm not too worried about significant damage to the GSE from a catch attempt.
Yeah, I'm not super worried as well. It's basically an empty tin can at that point. I'm more worried about the moment when it's still full, like the liftoff section. That's a bit more dangerous.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's totally the more worrying part. Also, you only have 3 engines, right, firing. So there's in general the power amount that is deployed during a landing attempt is way lower than the power that is going on at the launch attempt. So it's a different beast. Mike Bundy here with a $4.99 super chat saying they will launch as soon as they get a license. Precedents. True, they're kind of getting ready. The one thing that SpaceX again cannot influence is the weather. They do not have the power as do we to influence the weather. It's just the fixed one that they cannot change. And again, we are getting ready to give you some weather briefing that comes up a bit later. So get ready for that. Sile with becoming a Capcom member. Thank you so much. And let me get into question here again. Um. So, Alex, if everything with this flight, pending Thursday, goes according to plan, how does look the playing field going forward? Like, what's the imagine this world where the flight goes perfect, and tell me a story where we are going from there.
Oh boy, in a perfect world, then we will have maybe Booster 11 rolling out this weekend, right? Um, Static Fire next week and launch the following one, I guess. I no, I'm just joking. Because for still, I will expect maybe SpaceX doing some more upgrades to the launch pad and all of the basically all of the infrastructure. We've seen them adding those new tanks to the overall tank farm. That expansion that they are adding that eventually will become in some shape or form, the actual tank farm and the vertical ones will be removed and replaced by hot dog tanks, as Elon calls them. Um, so yeah, we'll probably see more of these work as well. They'll probably upgrade the current systems as well. I assume that even though everything will go well, the launch mount will still get cooked a bit during this flight. And so, even in an ideal situation where everything goes according to plan, they still probably expect some damage to some infrastructure. And so, that will probably need a good couple of weeks at least to be able to go through all of that. So, I expect perhaps the earliest that we could see, for example, Booster 11 coming back to the launch site and being tested you know in the early April timeframe. Again, this is assuming everything goes according to plan, an ideal world where things are as realistic as they can be and also as idealistic as they can be, like a crossover of both, right? And surely they need some work on the pad, a couple of weeks of work. They want to upgrade things, and while they work on that, the roll Booster 11 out, they do static fire testing at least up until middle of April. You could imagine, for example, doing that. Ship 29 also rolls out around that same time, goes out there, and essentially by the middle of April, you could think, both vehicles are plenty tested, right? They have completed their testing. They go back to the production site. They get ready for flight. All of these last minute modifications based on the things learned from Flight 3 and all of that. And then I could see perhaps a launch early May, mid May, in that sort of ideal scenario. The reality is probably that the launch is going to happen on June, the June timeframe, more or less, like between early to late June, essentially sometime in that month. That is my take. But let's get to the third flight, and then I'll give you a proper sort of prediction on when the fourth flight will happen. Let's see what Flight 3 actually eventually does, and we'll see.
I will read some more storm messages here because I see some very lots of support coming in here. Coming from Andy saying, "Hi guys from Dirty Leads, England, loving the coverage and have managed to watch all the major steps of Starship development due to great work. You all do many things. Andy Willow Hudson." I had to say Dirty Leads here. It's in our contract. I cannot change it. It's like we are. It's just the facts. I'm sorry. Thank you so much, and Chris Bergen sends his regards. So there we go. I had to read that one. It was just presented to me. Mash Space here asking Trevor, do we expect updated hot staging rings in the future?
In the future, yes, but the question is how far into the future. The one on Flight 1 certainly seemed to be an MVP, minimum viable product, and it seemed to perform really well. I haven't heard anyone complain about its performance, so my guess is it just was overly massive, so they would want to just cut down on mass, but aside from that, it was good. So I think in the future, we can definitely keep an eye out for them starting to remove a little bit of mass from the hot staging ring as they get more data of where they need more support, where they don't need support, so on and so forth. So, yeah, I don't see any changes coming.
There we go.
At least not in the short term.
It's really the question of the only big question I have is it right now fully underlining the goal of reusability, you know? Like, would this hot staging ring survive getting toasted by Raptors 10 times?
Yeah, I guess probably not. Uh, I mean, but right now they don't even plan on keeping it, right? We've seen documentation that for the initial flights, sorry, I'm getting texted McNuggets and McNuggies from a certain person who you can probably guess right now.
Hi,
um,
Jack.
I wanna give a quick shout out to Jack because he also tried to let me say this, and I resisted.
See, he doesn't DM me, so I win.
Yeah, you had no chance.
Exactly.
But yeah,
he knows I
how
would do
many
that.
McNuggets do you think would fit in a hot stage ring? That's Jack's question.
we will not answer this question. We will answer a way better question here I will throw to Alex. I'd rather be flying an X-Wing, still one of the best names we have in chat, I have to say, with a $5 super chat. And the question here, sorry if I'm repeating, but is the payload O2 in a custom tank in a cargo bay? Could it be involved in the fluid transfer test? Alex, could you shine some light on what's happening with this fluid transfer test? Like,
I need to.
how do they plan to demonstrate a fluid transfer test? Is there like a tank on this? Is there what's happening?
Oh, no, they don't. They don't have They don't have like liquid oxygen in some kind of custom tank. I mean, it's technically in the cargo bay, sort of. It's on the tip of the nose cone. That it is the sort of the header tank. So they have two header tanks. One is the tip of the nose cone, and then another one for the methane right underneath, sort of like a spherical tank underneath for the methane. What they're going to do is just for the transfer of fluids, they're going to just move essentially the liquid oxygen on the header tank, not all of it, but a portion of it will be moved from the header tank down to the main tank. And for that, they obviously need to make sure that all of the valves are good to go. This will be done in microgravity environments, so obviously they like that's the holy grail sort of thing, right? That they are able to be able to transfer all of that cryogenic fluid in microgravity, which is quite complicated. It's not impossible, but it hasn't been done before in these kind of quantities. Like even 10 tons will I think it's like 3 orders of magnitude more than what has been done before in microgravity, and still 10 tons is like 2 orders of magnitude less than the full goal here, which is 1,200 tons of fuel being transferred. As for yeah, so the payload is not really that. They're just not carrying any payload, which is precisely why for flight 2 they had to dump some of the liquid oxygen. um I'm mostly sure they probably also had plans to maybe later down the line in that flight maybe also dump some of the methane, because you will also have leftover methane inside of the tanks. But essentially that is what happened there on flight 2. I don't know how they'll do it on flight 3. The sort of the documentation from the FAA mentioned that they're gonna eliminate the dump before SECO, but it doesn't say anything about maybe performing that after SECO. Essentially, once they are in that sort of loop halfway around the Earth, basically that microgravity environment, but that coast phase, then I could imagine perhaps then doing that as well too. Because at the end of the day, you are essentially launching with extra propellant inside of the tanks, and for reentry, if you can imagine, that shifts the CG, the center of gravity. And so, to be able to operate the flaps and thrusters and whatnot, you kind of need the center of gravity, or center mass, I should say, in the right location for the flaps to work, for everything to be able to be in the right location. So I don't know how they'll tackle that on flight 3, but we'll see. Cover two
There we
things
go.
there in one explanation.
I have been outmaneuvered here because now I got a super chat here from Linux Fox with a $14.56 super chat saying, I'll do you one, Jack. NASA spaceflight, how many nuggies do you think will fit in a hot staging ring? And I did some calculations here while Alex was going with this answer. So apparently the volume of a chicken nugget is 35 centimeters squared. and the hot staging
I
ring
didn't realize
is.
that volume came in centimeters squared.
Wait, isn't that like the
Cube.
No, sorry, cubic centimeters. Cubic centimeters free. Sorry, German. I just didn't know the proper term. But it's 200 centimeters of height for the hot staging ring, right? It's like two. Is it one ring section? Or is it two?
Yeah, it's 1.8 meters.
So yeah, let's say 1.8. So it's it has about 140. It's a lot. Lots of nuggies. There we go. I will finish this calculation later. I will.
I asked Jack a question that I want your guys' answer to. If you fill Starship's fairing with chicken McNuggets so that it can place them in orbit, do you think they're mass constrained or volume constrained?
I'm mostly sure
I would say mass, because they are kind of filling out everything. That tends to be very mass problematic. Then it's why are we talking about this?
Yeah, why are we talking about this, Jack?
Why is Jack hijacking this show once
He's
again?
hijacking because he's Jack, but like
Jack
he also
says he's
DM'd
so
me.
happy.
I should say, and I will not bow at that request. I'm not like he even said, "Please don't say that I said this," and I'm like, "Well, I'm doing the opposite. I'm not saying it, and I'm saying it." So there you go.
So there we go. That's all we will not talk anything more about what you can fit in the hot staging ring today. It's over. It's this discussion ends now. But let me thank some more people here. Let's see. Keith with a storm message. Hi NSF, thank you for inspiring the next generation of the space frontier. Also, you all lost the game. I was really gonna say an honest thank you, but then you made me lose the game. So I'm no longer. Trevor looks like he has no idea what the game is.
I have no idea what's going on. It's not
I'm
chicken
covered in a
nuggets,
merch store thing, so I cannot talk.
Yeah. Just because you're the cover, it doesn't mean you're. Okay, I will explain to you the game later, Trevor. So that's probably. Let's see here. Brandon with a storm message. Watching from work, would rather be wrangling cameras on the beach. I mean, I understand that. It's cool in Boca. I mean, right now it's probably very, very cool because you have all of these people around there. Once again, covering Alex here, by the way, that are just out there watching Starship, getting excited for launch. Like before launch, it's getting so busy because, well, everybody is kind of there. So I understand that. But yeah, Alex, let's start here with this one. How would people best find out once the FAA license is out?
Can you repeat that again, please?
How would you best find out once the launch license is out?
Oh, that's very easy. So first of all, follow NSF because we're going to talk about that, social media and everything. I know Elisa will be super proud about this. But essentially, when they get the license, we'll get all of these sort of press releases and emails and all of that stuff. So we'll essentially get that, pretty much straight out, within minutes. There's always every single flight. There's someone saying always, "Oh, they have the license, but it's secret," and then most of the time. You see either Elon or SpaceX within minutes or later than that day saying, we're still waiting for regulatory approval, right? And, basically proving that that person was pretty much lying because they didn't have any approval. They wouldn't keep that secret, by the way. It doesn't do them any favors if you think about that. Because if they're preparing for launch and somehow they have the launch license and they don't talk about it for whatever reason, they will be in trouble, right? If you think about that. On the other hand, it kind of is quite a good thing to say, hey, we have the launch license, we're launching, right? Like, I don't know how to express that, but it will be like, yes, we're doing it, we're ready to go. And so the proof is in the pudding, as they say, right? When you look at this documentation, when they signed the launch license for Flight 1 and the one for Flight 2, they essentially release all of these press releases and everything within minutes of that document being signed. So they don't really hide it.
There we go. And I believe we are getting ready here for the weather update. I'm not sure. Are we ready yet for the weather update? Am I allowed to throw here? Or are we? Do we need a minute? I'm just openly asking now because we are getting ready here to give you the weather update with Adam. So let's see here what we can do. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to if it's starting. Apparently not. Then I will quickly ask one more question. Let's see here. Trevor, where do Boca Chica Village people go when they are evacuated? Like, is there, like, I mean, where do they go?
I believe SpaceX normally books a ton of hotel rooms at South Padre. At some of the big hotels there, they probably just book most of it up for all of the residents that need to be evacuated.
There we go. Let's see here. We already answered the question about if they could do for the next day. If they scrub, I mean, if they scrub early, they could go for the next day. If it's always if it's still in tank farm conditioning, everything, they probably can do today. Trevor, do you think there's still a chance that we will see the launch license today?
I don't think so. I think if SpaceX was expecting it today, they would be targeting tomorrow for launch. And also, we're coming up on 5 p.m. Eastern, which is about the end of the day for a lot of the government facilities. So I would say very unlikely today, probable tomorrow later in the day, and then if not tomorrow, hopefully on Thursday.
There we go. Let's see. How many beards are being shaved by those affiliated with NSF? So basically, who's shaving their beard when Starship flies? I think that's right now Jack, Alex, and me.
Yes.
I'm shaving.
Yeah, Trevor has also not shaved since the last Starship launch. It's just, it's not happening. No, I also I said it before. I have not shaved since the last Starship launch, and neither has Alex. And you can see who's winning the race. It's honestly not even a race.
Right now, we're ordered. We're ranked in the ordering of our level of facial hair.
Absolutely, we are like a progression line. And with this, I'm being told that we are ready to throw to Adam here for the weather update on Starship's potential launch on Thursday. So let's hear from Adam.
Hi, how are y'all doing today? Hopefully everybody can hear me just fine. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
Maybe not?
Adrian, can you hear me from your end?
Okay, maybe not. I am maybe not ready yet to throw, I thought. We'll
I believe it is us that we cannot hear him, but he's talking. People are hearing him on chat.
So, can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we can now hear you, Adam. Hello.
Oh, there we go. I'm here. Oh,
there we go.
I could just be sitting. If I could just be sitting there with y'all. So,
do you mind giving us a weather update?
Oh, absolutely. So, basically, something that I've been talking for actually the last few days is I've been looking at the wind profile, which is basically looking at winds aloft, and that's always a question mark to know. Can we launch into certain winds? Something that SpaceX has talked about before is directional winds, winds changing with height. And they don't want it to be terribly too strong because you don't want the force of the vehicle as it's lifting off to have winds hitting it from different directions as it's trying to go up to the atmosphere. So I've been looking at that. Well, the one thing about Thursday, I've been concerned over the last few days. I don't know SpaceX's criteria of how much wind threshold is the actual threshold for a cutoff. I don't know that information. So I just have to go off of what I've seen from previous launches of IFT1, IFT2. Well, with IFT3 coming up, I've looked back at the wind profiles that was launched out of Brownsville, which is the closest observation that we can get. And right now, so the image that you're seeing there is an actual observation. So this is the weather balloon that was launched for IFT2. This was launched out of Brownsville, and when we look at the data from it, we can see the wind profile, can't point, but the little wind barbs that you see to the right of the green and red lines there, that represents wind with height. And as you see the wind bars kind of move around, that's what they're talking about, directional shear. So you see that the direction's changing with height. Now, the more directional shear where you have wind stronger at certain directions, that's going to create a higher shear value. Now, for severe storms, like everybody knows I do chase storms, that's great. We want that for severe storms. Well, the problem with that is on Thursday, we're actually talking about severe storms, not down in South Texas, but from Central Texas up to the Midwest. And that is all due based upon we have a low pressure system that's going to be sitting off in our southwestern states, throwing off these impulses. The problem with that is that causes directional shear. That's why there's severe chances of weather from Central Texas up to the north because of that. These shear values are looking to be anywhere from 15 to 20 knots higher than IFT2. This could be right on the border. This could be right over it. I'm not for sure exactly where that line cuts off, but this is the highest out of IFT1 and IFT2. This is the highest shear values I've seen yet. And these are just model runs. This can change because anytime we have a little cutoff split low, models can tend to go back and forth on the exact numbers because it's not ejecting, meaning it's moving. It's actually going to sit out there for the next few days. So with Thursday also, there's a potential. Luckily, this time I'm not saying the fog word. Everybody's always concerned about the fog, but I'm going to say another word: clouds. With the storm system approaching, we're going to probably have low-level clouds that are going to be coming off the coastline, and we're also probably going to have some few mid or upper high-level clouds that are approaching with the storm system. So there's also the chance that we're going to have mostly cloudy skies in the morning. Especially with low clouds, if it's low clouds, that's going to give you a small amount of visibility. So with Elon's mention just earlier, that's all in part of what I'm seeing too is two things. Wind shear is something they're going to be looking at very closely for launch, but also if say they really want to capture data from ground tracking cameras, clouds could be a concern. Obviously, they can launch into the clouds, but if they still want those ground tracking cameras to see the ship through a lot of the process, clouds is probably not on their radar. I'm sure the shear is the most factor because they're not going to want to launch in certain high criteria shear values. So if you want to, this is the observation. Sorry, you should have went to the next slide there. The next slide was showing the actual computer model. This is the model that is I circled in yellow there. You can see from the top down, it goes from surface to 1 kilometer, meaning from the ground to 1 kilometer up. Also the ground to 3 kilometers up, and it gives you a value. So it gives you those different values. And those are the values I was talking about. Those values have come up a lot. They're higher than what IFT1 and IFT2 were. So that is my concern. That's probably why also Elon is mentioning weather in there, is because they're probably watching this very closely. Now, us that study weather, the main factor is this is a computer model. It's generating a fluid dynamics of environment. So we have to really, we play cautiously because as we get closer to the event, they'll probably launch a weather balloon and sample actual real-time data. Unless the model is generating numbers that are so high that we know that, even if we launch a balloon and get that real-time data, it might be too high anyway. So I think weather is a concern for Thursday for a launch. I don't know the exact criteria, but they're going to be watching this closely due to the fact of mainly the wind shear. I see the directional wind shear is going to be strong. That's why we have that chance for severe storms to the north. But clouds also, we don't really want those. And I know, I'll already say, I know what y'all's next question would be. What about Friday? What about Saturday? Well, with cutoff lows, modeling will change day after day. There is only some slight improvement Friday that the wind shear could possibly come down, but it just depends on this low pressure system and when it's ejecting impulses from it. The timing of that can change and differ the numbers by a large margin. But by Saturday, there's a chance that depending on how this low moves, Saturday we could see a little bit better improvement and maybe more breaking clouds. So I wouldn't say the all 3 days just don't look well. I just know that Thursday right now is a very big question mark about the weather. So I'll throw it back to y'all for questions.
Yeah, for sure. First off, thank you, Adam. This is really, really interesting. The first question I have here is also about visibility, because we have seen high humidity data for these days. So what are we looking at in terms of visibility on these days? Like, how high would you say is the chance that we don't have completely fogged out views the moment it launches, if it launches on Thursday?
Okay, so on Thursday, I'm not really well, here's the deal. So with really strong surface winds, that's one thing I left off too, is not only is there strong winds aloft, there's going to be strong winds at the surface. So we're talking about on Thursday morning, I mean, we're going to have winds sustained 15 to 20 with gusts up to nearly 30 miles per hour. So we're going to have strong southeast winds coming off the Gulf Coast. And because of that, that's going to be pumping in large amounts of humidity. So the humidity will be high. It won't be fog where it's saturating the air where you can't see, but it will have that haze, because you have to realize if you're looking 5 miles into a lot of humidity, it's going to have this weird like haze. It's not going to be crystal clear and sharp. Now, obviously, the cameras that are up close to Starship are going to get clarity, because you're not shooting through so much humidity in the air. But yes, humidity, we're looking at dew points in the 70s. The temperature is going to be around the same. So we're going to have basically a 96 to nearly 100% relative humidity. But luckily, it won't be with the wind mixes the air enough that it won't create like that dense fog, but you still will have that visibility of that haze in the air just from the amount of moisture that will be in the air.
So not perfect. All like the general picture is Thursday not really perfect for anybody involved for now. How about, like, I know it's a bit early to talk about early next week, but do you think there's a decent chance the conditions will significantly improve early next week, or is the trend more in a negative direction?
No, actually, next week the conditions would improve, mainly probably towards the latter, I would say the mid to latter half of the week, because this low, there's a reason why we call them a cutoff low. A cutoff low will get cut off from the main jet and it'll just sit, and it doesn't want to move fast. So that's our issue we have, is it's going to be setting off to the southwest. It won't move out of here probably until about Monday or so ish, give or take a day, is when it'll finally eject, moving out of the area. And that's what we need. We need it to just come in, move out of the area. That'll allow the wind shear numbers to come down. That'll allow us to get rid of a lot of the, clouds and all that stuff. So yes, there will be improvements if we go into next week, but not to say that depending on how this storm track is, there could be small improvements even as we get closer to Saturday too.
There we go. One final question here, Adam. How much will the accuracy of this improve over the days? Like, for example, today or tomorrow, in 24 hours from now, will we have a much better view of this? Like, when are we getting more and more confidence in these models?
Oh, absolutely. So obviously, especially as the actually upper level low is getting more data from ground stations that we have, not only just satellite, but ground stations, weather balloon data, the models will actually improve. So that's why even I'm sure the SpaceX team, they do have a dedicated meteorologist, and I'm sure that meteorologist is informing them the same like I would be informing y'all, that let's track it day after day. The conditions don't look favorable right now, but it doesn't mean that we get closer to that day and go, wow, well, the low might not send the stronger impulse to us during that time frame, and the wind shear numbers could come down and be within green levels again. So as we get closer, the model data will be refined and getting better and better, especially as we're starting to finally get just now into our short-term model range, which means higher resolution model range. And that helps paint a little bit better picture as we get a little bit closer. So yeah, definitely check back. I mean, it doesn't mean it's all no hope, but the one thing that has been pretty consistent is the clouds. The data has gone back and forth a little bit on how much directional shear we have and the values. But the clouds have been, we look at trends, and trends keep really wanting to paint these clouds in a picture. So, but back to you.
And thank you so much for this update, Adam. It's really, really informative, and I really enjoyed it. And I hope we can hear from you more over the next few days, because honestly, I mean, this is the best view and the best peek we get into all of this weather situation right now, and the clouds and everything. So thank you so much, Adam. And with that, we will start another attempt here at also throwing it here to the field, and we will try to reach our people at the highway again and see if we can establish a connection with them this time.
I'm sure they'll tell.
Give a bit of a tour from DAS here.
Real-time troubleshooting.
We are ready for that.
Somebody
now.
can
And,
hopefully make sure that this is
here.
coming through to y'all. All right, cool. I'm live. Hey, let's try this again. That is one of the ways that we do things out here. Previously, when I was trying to give you the behind-the-scenes tour, I was all on LTE, and I don't know if you just told me that it's not actually live. Did you tell me it wasn't actually live? Should I talk or not? Somebody clue me in. All right, I can talk. Cool. It's the thing, like, I'm not in control of the whole show like I used to be. I'm just here contributing from the field, and I'm not the one tapping on my phone to run the entire show. I assume that I'm live. I'm just going to talk to you as if I am. But last time we tried to do this, I was completely self-contained. I was just on LTE, and that's when all the cars were totally packed up here. And LTE, not a great idea. Normally, you can get plenty of signal off LTE out here. There's no problem streaming on LTE, but when everybody comes down for both spring break on that side and the Starbase side over here, the cells get overloaded. So we know better than that, but as soon as I went live, all the cars were here and the signal was lousy. So what we did is we've actually tethered, I'm wearing a broadcast backpack right now, I've tethered the broadcast backpack to our site. I'm here at our highway site right now, and this is now short range hopping over to the tower with Wi-Fi, and then it goes up to the main dish up there. Wow, sorry, the main dish up there, and then that shoots a point-to-point link over to the hotel where we have a command center for launch, and then we've got fiber over on top of the hotel. So I've got a couple hops here, but it's all going from the pack to the antenna, up the tower, across over there, down fiber into the server room at the hotel, and hopefully y'all can hear me and the feed is stable right now. In fact, I said that I was going to watch on my phone. Yes, I can see exactly how much is going out via the LTE radios and how much is going out via the point-to-point. But anyways, we've promised for like a super long time that we would do a little behind the scenes. And most of the time we're out here, we've got tons of work to do, and we don't have a lot of time for behind the scenes stuff, especially live. But it worked out today, and the number still says 9,000 on here, so it should still be good. Let me see if I can show you a couple things behind the scenes here at our highway site. Bear with me as I walk around. The signal may change a little bit, but because I'm tethered to that, it should come back really quickly, even if it hops a little bit. In my ears, is everything going good? Did everybody leave the stream now because I'm talking, or what? It takes them a little time to respond to me. Let's get y'all off the tripod here. So I can, there you go, move you around more easily. Like this, flip this around like that, continue to watch the signal. It's over 9,000, excellent. And let's see what we've got going on. We got the NASASpaceflight truck over here. When we originally started, we wanted to have a footprint here where we could safely operate these things. And so we've installed a gravel pad. This has been here for a couple years now. This is our property, so NASASpaceflight owns the property here, and we've installed this little gravel pad. Got about 1,000 watts of solar. These solar panels, there's 4 solar panels over here. This is going to get repainted. It's part of our refurbishment project. It's looking a little rough right now, but it's physically sound. Our batteries are in there. That's where we store all the power that we get for free from the sun on the solar panels. Back over this way. Hey, I'm a little scared to walk around, but I shouldn't be. Let's walk around and see what happens. These cameras that seem to be tracking me as I walk around the site. This is Mars Cam, the gray one over here. You can see we had to reseal one of the sides that's got some white eyeliner, eyeshadow, whatever you want to call it. This is Highway Cam. It doesn't get better signal because of the little sticks on top. That's for birds. because we don't want Sean to have to come out here and clean the cameras off constantly. But those are the two cameras that are at highway right now. Have been here so long you can actually see some like patina, like the anodizing or whatever has worn off the tripods. I don't know if it's anodizing or what. Those used to be black. And we have in this corner, we're actually going to put a concrete slab in with a taller tower that has better reach for the camera, more stable reach for the camera. These tripods work just fine right now. Sean's not here right now, but Sean was setting up some of his cameras over this way, so all these cameras that are on the tripods are that way. But that's the cool thing. We have the 24/7 cameras here that we use to bring Starbase Live to you. And then the site also provides location and power and internet for any client cameras that we put here for special events, like Sean's cameras. I know Maxwell, I think everybody's going to have cameras here this time, but they're going to set up their remotes, they're going to set up their still camera, their slow-mo cameras, and that's where you get, if y'all got Max's metal print last time, that's where this shot came from. We originally thought that this was not going to be a great shot, but because it's sort of like straight on and you can see the flaps of the ship, and the tower's there, as it clears the tower, it really is an amazing angle from right here. So not only does the highway site here support the 24/7 operation, Starbase Live, and all the things that we cover, it also supports the photographers that will be putting gear out here. Now, Sean's actually been working on one of the boxes. I'm not going to stick the camera down in the box, but he has a box that he has built and is deploying here. And the big difference about Starbase signal check, is it all still good? I'm going to make sure the signal's still good before I keep talking to y'all. Survey says over 9,000 still. Nice. The big difference between Starbase and the other places that we shoot, like the Cape. The Cape, when you deploy a remote camera like this one, you actually can't transmit or receive from the camera. You have to disable the wireless networks. You can't run a cable, or you can't have a point-to-point transmitter or anything like that. You can't even use LTE because they don't allow us to transmit when we're near the pads at the Cape or Wallops or wherever, right? Here at Starbase, it's a totally different thing. Not only are we on our own property, but we can transmit all day long. So we're able not only to just set the remote camera, this is a MyOps trigger. It's one of the sound or otherwise activated triggers that plugs into the camera to activate it. And a lot of times what the photographers will do is they'll just program this trigger to listen to rocket sounds. And then when it hears rocket sounds, it goes, it starts taking pictures, right? We don't have to do that here because we can have real-time communication with the camera. So part of what the build of the site supports is photographers can put cameras, video cameras, whatever here, and they can have a network connection on our VPN to talk to them and control them in real time, even when we're not here. We're not physically here. We can be back at River, the hotel. They could be in Nebraska for all they care. But they can, because we can transmit and receive, we can actually control the cameras from here. So the MyOps is there. A lot of times they'll put this on there just as a backup plan, just in case, but they do have the ability to talk to some of their cameras. There's actually some micro PCs and stuff down in there that plug into the camera so we can get that stuff. What else do we have? Yeah, coated. Should leave a review on Amazon for that thing. It is significantly less corrosion resistant than Speed Spider would lead you to believe. That's the comm box. I'm not going to open it up, but that's where the brains of the entire site is. We've got multiple routers in there. They have different ways of getting online. I apologize, the camera's a little shaky, but it's the information that's gold here. They have different antennas up on the tower. There's some LTE antennas up there. Of course, the point-to-point antenna at the very top is the main link that goes over. And we don't have the Starlink out here right now. That's what Daniel's working on, hey Daniel.
Hey guys.
How's it going? Daniel is working on a remote controlled relay so that we can turn the Starlink on and off when we're not here. And Starlink, of course, burns tons of power. It burns 60 to 75 watts, and we don't want to burn 60 to 75 watts all the time. At night, when we don't need it, we turn the Starlink off, and with what Daniel's working on, we'll be able to turn it on. It'll boot up, we'll connect to it, and we can use the Starlink as a third or fourth type of connection here. Point-to-point LTE Starlink, and we got multiple LTE modems. So anyways, this is where all the routers are. This is also where our microphone encoders and that sort of stuff are. Maybe we'll clean up that one day. We'll get to it. That blue cable looks fine to me. It's on the list. It's on the list, right. Daniel is over here working in the box. I'm not going to stick in there too far, but the box that he has open right now, I don't know how much of this came through earlier, but that's actually the client box. The equipment in that box is designed to support the photographer's cameras and other temporary equipment that we may deploy here. So we'll have the Starlink out here temporarily. We'll have their cameras. They have places where they can plug into an Ethernet switch up there. They have power. We'll give them 12-volt power. We have AC power as well. Less ports on the AC power. But this is designed so that photographers can roll up and they have all these resources, network connectivity and power ready to go. The other box, this is all the control and telemetry box for the solar itself. We don't like having the solar out here unless we actually have telemetry from it. At any given time, I can tell you the state of the batteries, how much watts we're getting, how much watts we're using, which cameras are on and off, everything in real time. It graphs it, we can go back in history, but we monitor everything that's going on to make sure that our sites are healthy and well charged and ready to support whatever's going on out here at Starbase. The big box there, I don't know if y'all got that earlier, but that's the battery box. Part of the refurbish is repainting it. We learned that a black box, worked this out myself, tends to get hotter inside. So we painted it white, but we used like an RV roof coating that did not adhere to the powder coat that's on the box very well. So we need to redo that. And still a bit of a work in progress. We got our tools and stuff around. Some of the truss segments and stuff we're going to clean up and get out of there. But the site, forklift going down the road. This is our highway site. And this is what we use to bring y'all Starbase Live. Did I miss anything else? Yeah, I'm not really set up to take questions because it's just me standing here live streaming while Daniel does all the work. I can try to pop in and see if somebody wants to toss me a question or two. Or maybe I'm not even live and people just don't even want me to like do this anymore. I don't know. But any questions? Oh, it's definitely live. All right, cool. Not sponsored by Coca-Cola, that's true. We're powered by Coca-Cola, but we're not sponsored by Coca-Cola.
That is true.
That is true, says Daniel. If there are any questions, we can grab a couple questions here. And I'm going to rely on them to pass me the questions. That's a generator. That's a generator that can run an air conditioner for the RV. Okay, I will have to read the questions in text. What's going on in the 38 hours? So, Adrian, we're at our highway site right now. Or, I don't know who that was, but Adrian passed the question to me. Text is going to be a lot easier for me to read the questions. We need to finish up here at highway. We need to get the Starlink deployed. Daniel's going to finish up the power control for it. And then this site will be ready to support the photographers that are going to set cameras here. I already tuned the point-to-point. If you remember some of the behind-the-scenes photos that came out, we actually had a 35-foot lift out here, which was comically large for our comically small tower. Tower doesn't need to be any taller than it is. But I already tuned the point-to-point back to the hotel. We finished that, and we completely redid the power structure and new boxes and all that sort of stuff on the backside. So we're just about good to go here at Highway. Highway is one of our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 or 6, 7, I don't know how many sites. One of many sites that we'll be covering the launch from. And so I also need to go to North Beach, which is actually back that way a ways. And we've got some work to do out there. Our South Beach site is over in this direction. Our sites are basically like there's the launch tower, right? And it's a mile south for our South Beach site, a mile north for our North Beach site. We're about 1.4, 1.7, not 2 miles, I don't think, from the tower to here. And we're going to go out to North Beach. We've got some more work to do over there. Additional cameras, some things we deploy temporarily and that sort of stuff, right? We got to go back out to South Beach again. We're going to be deploying more cameras there. We got a brand new camera we just put out there the other night that we will roll into the coverage. We've got River back here, so we'll be back at River as well. There's the production site. River is about 3.8 miles away from the launch pad, and that's where some NSF folks will be watching from there. The cool thing, honestly, and y'all tell me if I'm like nerding out too much, right? The cool thing about our network out here is that it's all sort of put together. So if you've got a camera here that you've deployed as a photographer, or you have a live stream tracking camera that we have here or at the trailer or at South Beach, you could be at River over this way at our little NSF hospitality site at River, and you can hop on the network at River. River's got a little point-to-point radio that shoots a beam from River up to the top of this tower, and then it comes right down the tower and it'll get you to your camera. So we have like Starlink, oh, such great ping times. We get like 2 to 5 millisecond pings from our River control center over there to the cameras that they may have here, or at trailer, or at south, or at north. And we can also be on the roof of the hotel. You can just see, wow, way out there. Hang on. Look at this. Let me zoom in. You'll see the sapphire out there. Where's the big? Is it to the right? Yeah, there you go. That's the sapphire condominiums, I guess. To the right of it, you can't quite see it because I'm close to the ground here. But Margaritaville Resort, South Padre Island, is over there where we will be on the roof with our rooftop command center. We can be on the roof. And we can talk to any of our equipment at any of our sites with sub 10 millisecond ping times to control everything that's going on. You could be remote. The ping's larger. The ping's much higher once you get remote. You could be in Ohio. You could be in Europe somewhere. We've got SBL operators that are all over the map, and they can control any of the equipment that's that's at any of the NSF sites here at Starbase from wherever they are. So the whole network is sort of put together so we can control it from wherever. We don't have to be here. The other super important thing, remember I said there were lots of different connection types plus the Starlink I don't have out yet? We fail over. So if we have problems with one connection, we can switch to a different type of connection. And throughout the entire coverage, we try to have a diverse mix of connections that we're using. We don't usually put all of our eggs in a single basket. We'll have some cams on point-to-point. We'll have some cams on LTE. We'll have some things happening on Starlink. Maybe a photographer has taken a remote shot from one of the cameras, and the live cameras may be using the point-to-point, and the photographer might upload the photos to put in the shop via the Starlink. And that's how we can maintain the stability and quality of the live feeds without impeding the photographers from being able to get to their stuff and start to fire up uploads that we can get back so that we can show you all in the member program, put them in the shop or whatever. All right, another question. Let me see. Am I going way too long? I don't know. I hope this is nice and stable. I can't unlock my phone with my left hand. So I'm going to be going around to a lot of different places. So other questions. It's stable. Cool, thank you. Your Starlink antenna can be put to sleep via the Android app. Still actually pulls a lot of power if you put it to sleep. Plan for expansions. So we're always improving the different things that we're doing here. We're going to potentially add more solar in the future. We're going around and we're trying to add more battery to all the sites. We're doing sort of a cleanup pass right now, right? Audio probably won't match if you're looking at me with a different camera. But we're doing sort of a cleanup pass. We've been out here for years, and years of work at the sites, things, start to rust. Things start to not be great. Even the aluminum tends to corrode. Cameras start to leak. You can see a bunch of discoloration, like UV discoloration there. It takes a lot of maintenance just to keep these things running. So right now, a big thing that we're doing is sort of like a cleanup refactor pass to go back through and make everything clean again. Otherwise, expansions, we're always trying to add new cameras. I guess I could make it so y'all could see me again, huh? We're always looking to add more cameras. We've got cool ideas for more audio, more interactivity that we're always working on. Can I raise this up now? I'm out of hands, chat. I have no more hands left to operate all this equipment solo. What, please? There we go. And up. There we go. And flip. And tripod. Hey, how's that? Neat. Now I can talk to y'all. Always trying to make sure that we're adding new technology, but a big part of it is replacing stuff because the lifetime of even aluminum components out here, they just don't last. Point-to-point radios die because the corrosion just gets to them. I don't care how much silicone tape you wrap them in or how you try to seal them, connectors get worn out. There's a ton of maintenance that we're always having to do to keep these things going. How is this all weatherproof? That's a great question Adrian just put in the back channel here for me. At first, we were just getting stuff going however we could, right? We're out here, we're learning, does this part work? They call it stainless steel, but that doesn't mean it's stain proof. It just means it stains less. So even stainless can start to get a little effect. I don't even know if I'd call it corrosion, especially if stainless is touching other parts, right? You can get dissimilar metals and aluminum corroding against the stainless and still locking up or causing problems. Bubbling is a big problem where you have like an aluminum cast. A bunch of these cameras are cast aluminum, right? And you have this aluminum cast and you have an O-ring gasket, like a silicone gasket, and that aluminum starts to corrode and bubble just a little bit, and that pushes the O-ring or the gasket out, and then you get water ingress into the camera, and then the whole camera's toast. or part of the camera's toast, or whatever, right? Let's see here. Oh, how else is it weatherproofed? We did go through and we had to say, hey, you know something? We got these boxes that we got from Home Depot. We spent a lot of money at Home Depot, right? And the little screws that come with those boxes, they are not corrosion proof. So a lot of the boxes we found on the tower, the screws had just completely rusted off. Things falling off and stuff. So then you go and you're like, oh, it's this size screw. We need to get that in stainless. We go to McMaster Car. McMaster Car, if you want to sponsor a stream, my DMs are open. We buy a lot from McMaster Car too. But we go through and we replace some of that hardware. And then when we buy new stuff, we try to identify the parts that are not stainless steel, and we'll take out the zinc coated junk, we'll take out the mild, well, not really any mild steel. We'll take all that stuff out and we'll try to replace it with stainless before it even gets bad. UV cracks plastic over time. We've got to replace some of those. Sometimes we'll go through and we'll try to make a housing, or we love silicone tape. Do I have silicone tape on anything right here? Most of it's on the tower because I just redid a bunch of it. But we'll have a connection and then we'll wrap that connection with self-bonding silicone tape. The silicone tape sticks to itself really well. Like once the tape touches itself, it's never coming undone again, right? So you can use that to make really good watertight connections. Probably what I'm doing is telling all the other people who want to stream out here how they're going to have to weatherproof their sites after 3 years. Part of the hilarious thing is I see other people setting up stuff sometimes and they just copy us. They just buy the same stuff as us. And I'm like, I haven't had that antenna plugged in for a year now. You bought the same antenna. It doesn't work here. I just left it on the tower because I didn't want to climb it. Whatever. Let's see here. Beyond that, the boxes are another big thing with the weatherproofing. In the summer, we don't have like sealed boxes where we don't let any airflow in or out because the boxes will literally cook the equipment inside of it. So we try to have some airflow through the boxes. We have little fans, we have temperature sensors and all that sort of stuff. But it is a very humid environment and we have to go through and we're constantly replacing connections, replacing wires. That little Ethernet cable, the RJ45s, those things are terrible. Like they get a little corrosion on them, it'll be like, oh, look, I'm a good cable. And then you try to log into the camera and it won't work. Maintenance. Maintenance is a great question too, right? Maintenance is a great question too. The big part besides corrosion and keeping wires and stuff like that good to go is the environment around us, right? And so we have the gravel pad. The gravel pad not only gives us a nice place that's not muddy, we can drive vehicles in, we can park, we can work without being in the grass. Less mosquitoes here because there's no grass, like you're not walking through the grass, right? But the pads actually also act as a security zone around the stuff, around the cameras, around the sites. And so we try to maintain these pads, which is pretty tough. We go through, we'll like edge, we'll mow and that sort of stuff to keep the vegetation low near the sites. We don't try to mow unnecessarily if we don't need to, but we do want to have just a break area around the sites where the vegetation isn't overgrown. That's a huge part of it, and especially in the summer, it's really tough to keep up with. The good news is in the summer, all this stuff's really wet, right? So even though it's growing really quickly because it's summer and it's getting lots of rain and it's wet, we don't have to maintain it, or it's not as big of a deal because the vegetation's all very wet. In the fall, when it gets dry, that's when we really want to be aware of making sure that we keep the vegetation levels down. A small building, we've talked about having a small building. We do have a container over at our river site, and we keep tools and supplies and materials and extra wires and replacement parts and that sort of stuff in the container over there. A building like with air conditioning and stuff, maybe one day, I don't know. There's plenty of room back there. We could put a tiny house. Well, I just need to stand over there with like a high-vis vest one day, right? And when SpaceX is getting 100 tiny homes delivered, I'll be like, yeah, this way. I'll just wave them to our property and have them put a tiny home back. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. Right now, the solar we have at the site is plenty for discrete digital electronic devices. Cameras, point-to-point radios, that sort of stuff. The solar we have at the sites is not enough for like creature comforts. So you can charge your phone, you can run your laptop, whatever. You're not going to run an air conditioner off of a kilowatt of solar, right? That's not a thing that's going to happen, especially in the summertime. So even a refrigerator would be tough too. If we needed to do that, we would have to have a lot more power capability. If we wanted to have a small building that was like a creature comfort or a lounge or something, a crew rest area or something would be fantastic, but there's some infrastructure things where we need to make that work. Could we do it? Like just with solar? Sure. Solar prices have dropped a lot, honestly, than even when we first built these. but it wasn't anything really we priced out yet, right? Refreshments and snacks. So normally here at Highway we wouldn't have any food or anything like that because we don't want to attract the Yodis and the possums and the trash pandas. There's raccoons all over the place because people put all their trash in the dumpsters and they leave their trash in the bins at the beach, and that attracts animals that are going to come and scavenge the trash that people leave, right? So we wouldn't store food or anything like that around here. Even at River, I don't want like chocolate bars in the container or something, because that's how you get raccoons chewing through your weather seals or whatever, right? We do have, however, at River, for the launch, sort of an NSF hospitality tent. We have an RV. We have 2 RVs this time, actually. We've got the generator that we're going to have over there. We'll have air conditioning. We'll have a place for people to rest and wait for the launch. All the crew that are coming through. We've got some visiting photographer friends as well. And so we provide those sort of comfort facilities and the power to run them over at River, right? Not something that's open to the public. Because of the way we work and the way we have insurance and liability stuff, we can't just have anybody just run up and just watch with us from there, right? But for photographers that are working or people that are supporting NSF, SBL operators, Roger's over there right now. He's one of the SBL operators y'all see on every morning. He's got a little RV over there. And he's actually acting as sort of our NSF hospitality person. Runs into towns, gets some snacks and stuff like that. We got coolers with drinks. Like I said, we'll get the air conditioning running and stuff like that. So the sites themselves, not so much. Super low impact over here. Back at River, where it's sort of like more in civilization, air quotes civilization, there's a little bit more creature comforts, and we can be there during launch as well. Let me look at my phone one more time. I know I'm talking up a storm, but we've been promising this for the longest time, and we're always so busy we never did it. We just want to show y'all, I don't like go out and take super chats and put like another Ferrari in my Ferrari account. We don't get enough super chats to buy Ferraris, unless they're Matchbox Ferraris. But all the support that y'all do, you're gifting memberships, you're doing super chats, tips.nasaspaceflight.com, buying merch, or whatever. We turn that back around so that we can do safe, secure coverage. We bring y'all upgrades to the equipment, stable video feeds. Audio is always a challenge, but we try to turn those things back around into coverage that y'all can share, especially if you can't come here to Starbase. I'm going to check my phone one more time and just see what I can do. Final thanks to all the support this, and slowly moving out of this. I'm just reading what they're telling me on the back channel. I don't even know how long I've been talking. So anyways, yeah, you can clip that, whatever, that's fine. Folks, I'm not reading chat right now, I'm just reading the back channel. If you've been watching, I'm Das. You may hear me as John Galloway, but everybody calls me Das. My own mom calls me Das. I'm going to be out here, part of the team, covering the Flight 3 launch. Looking like the weather's not too fantastic. We'll see what exact call gets made. All the other people helping out as well. Daniel back there. Sean is out here all the time. If you've seen Sean or bought one of Sean's metal prints on Sean, just give you a thumbs up for that. On the shop, Sean's out here covering things all the time. So we're out here. More people are coming. We just going to try to do everything we can to bring y'all the coolest, scrappiest, most fun Starship launch coverage that we can. So I think for now, I'm going to get back to work. I've got a generator I need to commission, and then we'll need to be back to work. I've got to get back to work. See, he doesn't have a lab, so you probably can't hear him. I think he's saying that I haven't worked yet today. What do you think this is?
Fun.
It is pretty fun. He's not wrong. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and hop off. They're going to continue on with the show. Thank y'all so much for the support. Sorry for the technical problems earlier. It's literally, like, we solved the technical problem with this feed the exact same way we solve the problems that we deal with out here every day. We just patched our signal through another uplink, and we're able to bring y'all coverage of what's happening. So we'll see y'all around for Flight 3. We'll have more behind the scenes stuff like this for you, especially during the show before the launch. For now, I think they're ready to take the stream away from me, and I will see you nerds later. Thanks so much for all the support. We'll make it count. You can clear me now, I guess.
There we go. Love that. I love that, like that tour behind the scenes. Again, thanks everybody for supporting that we can do things like that. And with that, I want to quickly throw to Trevor here to give us a quick little recap. Where are we standing with the launch? What are we looking for the next 2 days? What's the playing field before we will wrap up the show?
Yeah, so like we've been talking about all show. Oops, echo, give me one sec. Okay, there we go. As we've been talking about, the two major watch items are both weather and regulatory approval. It seems like regulatory approval is now expected to come in time for a launch on either Thursday or Friday, which means we can probably expect that about this time tomorrow, the launch license will be released. And then on top of that, then we need to start paying attention to weather. And as Adam broke down for us, the weather on Thursday is not looking great right now. Which certainly highlights or makes me think that we're expecting to launch more on Friday. But as of right now, it's all Thursday. So we just need to really pay close attention in these next 24 hours as the models start maturing a little bit more. Hopefully weather gets better. And then hopefully that launch approval comes from the FAA for a launch attempt this weekend or earlier.
Thank you so much, Trevor. And I want to quickly thank some amazing support we got here again. You're helping that we have Das there at the site installing 1 quadrillion cameras. We have Line Fox here becoming a Capcom member. Make sure to join the Discord. We have Michael Zimmerman. Why did I pronounce that English? Michael Zimmerman. Michael Zimmerman, probably. For 20 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much. We have Mighty Dondon with 10 Red Team memberships. We have Blackhawk with 5 Red Team memberships. We have Apocalypse Cow, Danger Moo with 10 Red Team memberships. We have Ryan with 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you all for gifting these memberships. They are giving people access to behind the scenes content and all of the content we put out on the YouTube community page. So thank you all for that. Also, thanks to Astro95 Media for the $10 super chat. We need an NSF dinner gathering near Starbase on the eve of liftoff like we did in the shuttle days. See, the problem here is you just saw what our team does close to launch. So maybe like on the post-launch, after everything has cleaned up, that's probably the better time for this. Lost in Space, $10. If another chicken nuggets question. They're haunting me.
No chicken nuggets.
If I was ordering chicken nuggets to fill a hot stage ring, should I get the 6 pieces or the family orders in order to save more? We are not an economy class, but I think the 20 are cheaper than the 6. Yeah, they should be. It would be very weird if the 20 would not be cheaper than the 6 for the sizing up. At least that's how it is in Germany. I don't know the sizes in American McDonald's. So there's that. Lars Morgan Carlson becoming a Capcom member. Thank you so much. Paul Batraw with a $10 super chat. Launched that giant telephone pole. Great coverage as always. I cannot unsee the fact that Starship is a giant telephone pole. Thank you for that. Mr. with a store message. Thank you for all the work and effort you all put in to bring the world of rocket launches to us all. Thank you so much for the support of doing that. So if you want to support that, go to shop.nasaspaceflight.com because it's the best way because you get something in return. We like if you get something for helping us out, and that's the best way to do that. Flawed Perspective with a $5 super chat saying, just sending love to Adam for lapse rate analysis. Yeah, a lot of love to Adam here for the weather analysis in general. That was amazing. If you missed that, make sure to rewind to the show to that section, and you can hear Adam talking about it. And we will also make sure to check in with Adam over the next 2 days if we have weather updates. Mercury becoming a Capcom member. Michael with a star message. Thanks, NSF, for the amazing coverage you guys keep providing. IFT3, let's go. Certainly, Michael, and I'm looking forward to commentate on that. And you all see the show. I think we have been cooking up some amazing stuff for that show. So make sure to tune into that. Eric Spittle with another $5 super chat. Amazing work. Thanks, everyone. Bite Ford with a $10 super chat. What focal length is needed for close to medium shots at this range? And which lens is that big guy behind you, 400mm to 500mm? I'm not a camera person, but I would recommend tagging either Sean or Jack on X. And that's basically the best way probably to get an answer. I know Jack tends to, for example, answer questions on X. So make sure to maybe just ask them there. Or
ask
if you remember,
Jack all of your chicken McNugget questions on X.
Yeah, and or also on the Discord. Like that's the best way to do it. If we would answer right now photography questions, we three, you wouldn't learn anything. You would probably forget something you already know. So that's little knowledge we have here. It would like negatively impact your knowledge about photography. Leo Lippert becoming a PatRep member. Deborah Jean, thanks so much for that time. Awesome info indeed. Stewart, we're becoming a Red Team member. And Nathan, finally, thanks so much for that last time. That was an epic tour. In a store message from Nathan, who also we're once again covering the Alex here. That's the fun part here. I can just cover Alex's face. Hey, Alex, it's going to happen again. There you go. No, thank you so much all for the support. I believe, Trevor, we have one more news we have to share here, right?
Yeah, so the TFRs for launch just went up, which this is fully expected. They normally go up about 2 days before launch. But it just is yet another item that we've checked off now for Thursday. So now the two, like we've been saying the whole show, the two items are they still need that regulatory approval, which everyone seems to be hinting that it's coming before Thursday. Elon's tweet didn't mention it at all, and Joey Roulette mentioned that SpaceX is expecting to have approval for Thursday. And then weather, which unfortunately neither SpaceX nor the FAA can control at all. So these are all just things that we're going to have to pay attention to, and that we'll come back with all of that information on our next live stream, whether that's a countdown to launch or the actual mission stream itself. We will bring all of that info to you guys.
And I want to quickly mention, by the way, that stream, that big stream is up. So make sure that if maybe our chat moderators can lock that in, put that in the chat. So there you go. There it is. The Starship launch stream. Make sure to bookmark that and be there on 11 p.m. Central on Wednesday, actually. So 11 p.m. Central on Wednesday, we will go live for the liftoff. So marathon coverage, as always. We are there. We are there for probably around 12 hours. So we'll see. At this point, I want to thank Alex for being on the show today.
It's been a pleasure, and definitely very, very interesting to hear Das with all of the behind the scenes stuff. I really learned some stuff from like I am more in the know, I guess, than our viewers out there. But I still learned new stuff, and that was cool. And we still don't have a launch license, but everything seems to be pretty much in place. So whenever it actually goes out, we'll see, and hopefully SpaceX can get through that. So till the next one.
There we go. And I also, of course, want to thank Trevor here for being with us here today.
Yeah, of course. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be seeing you guys on the launch stream, which just kind of feels unreal to say that starts tomorrow.
Yeah, it feels a bit daunting, the fact that we are talking about, oh yeah, we'll see you on the launch stream for Starship tomorrow. That's like a combination of words that always has some weight with it. So thanks so much for being with us here today, Trevor. I also want to, of course, give a shout out to Adam and Das, who were in our show today, and make sure we get these amazing insights into different parts of what's going on, the weather, and of course the behind the scenes. And I want to thank Carson, who operated the stream today, and Jay also helping with operating the stream today. And I want to thank our launch directors and flight engineers and everybody who supports that in any way possible, even viewing the stream, supplying questions, everything that we can do to make this more interesting. Thank you, everybody who watched today. And I think I had a lot of fun. And I hope you all join us tomorrow for a hopefully final, countdown to launch, which would be the final countdown to launch with the 24 hours before we go, like less than 24 hours, actually. Basically at 4 p.m. Central Time, we will have another countdown to launch. Right, 4 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Eastern. Time zones is the other thing. And with that, thanks all for watching, and we will give you the outro, and we will see you all tomorrow.
And here we go.
RCPA chamber pressure looks good.
Rolling up. Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside speed off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange! Orange 45! Oh my god! Oh my god! Decollage! What is it? Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?